With the sun once again baking down relentlessly, the seconds fought their way through the Karoo to the next of the many spectator points, Baroda Bridge, to find out what was happening at the front of the race. The dice at the front of the pack was now a 5-boat affair, setting the pace Daniel Conradi and Moray Wilson. Spectators caught up with the action another 4.5 kilometers downstream at Longacre Bridge. Now the Gauteng paddlers were putting in an interval to try and get rid of the Cape contenders, Neil Evans and Alan van Coller, with Robbie Herreveld and Graham Monteith just behind them. Hanging on grimly, overall leaders Daniel Conradi and Moray Wilson. At this stage, the tactics became even more cutthroat. The 3 Gauteng boats were doing their best to work together to make life difficult for the Cape crew of Daniel Conradi and Moray Wilson. For Conradi and Wilson, there was only one option to stay in contention. They had to set their own pace. Two-thirds of the way through day 2, the first of the 3 crucial tactical weirs. Gauging weir. This is a 4-foot drop over which the Fish River flows strongly. Leading the pack into this obstacle, Robbie Herreveld and Graham Monteith, with the contenders of Moray Wilson and Daniel Conradi just behind them. Heading the third wave, the British paddlers of Melvin Swallow and James Block claim to have much experience shooting weirs on races like the Liffey in Ireland. They had little trouble with gauging weir, as did Byrne and Simpkins just behind them. With 3 major obstacles waiting in the last 15 kilometers, the short stretches of flat water provided some relief before the second weir came into sight. Robbie Herreveld and Graham Monteith slide down the Marlow chute, a new addition to a weir that in previous years had been a compulsory portage. Just behind them, Alan van Coller and Neil Evans, with the contenders Daniel Conradi and Moray Wilson just behind them. One of the striking features of this year's marathon was the excellent performance by the leading juniors, Jason Callister and Ant Stott. They held on to a consistent top 20 position and proved that they will be a major force to be reckoned with both locally and internationally. For many of the field, the Marlow chute held plenty of thrills in store. The third of the weirs to be negotiated is also the tallest and most dangerous, Craddock Weir. Leading the contenders into this awesome obstacle, Robbie Herreveld and Graham Monteith, sliding sideways over the treacherous high side of the weir. Just behind them, Alan van Coller and Neil Evans. However, Robbie Herreveld and Graham Monteith ran into more bad luck. This time their canoe got ensnarled in the torpedo buoy of one of the lifeguards, and they could only watch helplessly as Neil Evans and Alan van Coller and Daniel Conradi and Moray Wilson raced past them. Taking a bumpy straight line over Craddock Weir, Paul Marais and Peter Cole. Closely followed by Andrew Bonamore and Michael Cheeseman. The British paddlers Swallow and Block rated themselves as weir experts. They were tripped up by Craddock Weir. It's a notoriously dangerous obstacle that in many years has been recommended as a compulsory portage, largely because of the dangerous suckback at the foot of the weir. Being tripped up by this dangerous suckback, whitewater experts Colin Simpkins and Byrne. In the final sprint into Craddock, Alan van Coller and Neil Evans needed just a 3-second margin, but they couldn't shake off the Cape crew.
We were 4 in the bunch and 3 were Transvaalers, and we were a bit lonely there. We got worked over a bit, but we managed to hang in. I think we had a good day. We didn't make mistakes. Everything went well.
The Gauteng crew of Alan van Coller and Neil Evans were consistent over the 80 kilometers and deserved runners-up.
Fish comes down to winning day 1. They did well. They took the first stage, and then with the mass start on day 2, it's a case of staying with the bunch. So the guys did very well.
Many of the international paddlers finished comfortably in the top 20, Melvin Swallow and James Block.
The river was fantastic. It's probably the hardest race I've ever done. It's just out of this world. Tremendous.
Hard, but exhilarating. It's a great race. There's always something interesting to do. There's rapids, there's trees, there's weirs, there's everything. This race has got everything.
The ladies' title went to the KwaZulu-Natal crew of Wendy White and Debbie Witten. For Debbie, it was a particular honour, having won the SAK1 ladies' title just a few years before. The mixed doubles title went to former Dusi winner John Edmonds, teaming up with Shirley Holmes, and the Masters to KwaZulu-Natalian Paul Chalupsky and Herb de Roble. And while I might have been delighted and indeed relieved to get my 4th fish behind me, I was also alarmed to find that blind paddler Freddie Botha had got there before me.
We shot everything, and all I can say to the organisers, it's a great race. It's one of the greatest ambitions in my life.
Day 2 had been equally tough on the equipment, particularly the weirs, and as the wreckage arrived in Craddock, the war story started to emerge as well. On the podium, the new SAK2 junior champions, Jason Callister and Anthony Stott. The ladies' race had been just as exciting, Debbie Witten and Wendy White enjoying the laurels.
While in the background, just before prize giving starts, the people who like to call themselves the Fish and Chips are finding their way to Craddock, where after the prize giving, they'll be looking forward to what the canoeing community knows as the mother of all parties. Perhaps that's an appropriate way to end the Kalua Fish River Marathon.
For Daniel Conradi and Maury Wilson, their win had been a chemistry of stamina, river skill, cool heads, and indeed some good fortune. And while their eventual victory margin of 2.1 seconds might look slim, there was no detracting from the fact that they were now the national K2 River champions.
Use intravenous drips to themselves. This is the first year that drips banned from the race.
Intravenous drips are used to replace fluids in the body. According to some users, the drips can put fluids back into the body almost 5 times faster than oral intake of fluids. This substance is not illegal. Going straight into the veins is. But the committee who made the decision says the drip gives competitors an unfair advantage.
The Dusi is unique in that it's a multi-day event and also run through very hot, humid conditions. But as a result of all that, our medical doctor sought opinion from experts on the subject, and Professor Tim Noakes, who's the leading expert, has said that it's unethical for doctors to administer intravenous fluids during a multi-day event, and also that it would constitute doping in terms of the IOC rulings.
But competitors have mixed feelings about the decision made by the committee.
Whatever the decision the committee makes is, I'll adhere to that, but I just find it a little bit strange that with a couple of days to go before the race that an announcement is made of this nature. And I've spoken to quite a few friends of mine and medical colleagues, and none of them know anything about this intravenous drips being a form of doping. So I just find it a little bit strange, and I don't know how we as competitors are supposed to keep up with all the medical technology.
You're losing a lot of fluids and you need to put that back, and the quickest and easiest way to put it back is with a drip. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed, but if that's the decision, we'll have to live by it.
Those competitors who will be taking the intravenous fluids will be allowed to finish the race and get a finisher's medal, but won't be able to receive a gold medal for being in the top 10 or a silver medal for being in the top 50. Wilma Pretorius, SABC, Pietermaritzburg.
And with
as we get, and presently the leader who is leading us is doing a lot for us.
Okay, Kampala right now, the change I would like to have is economy.
As 11 ontwikkeling deelnemers is in vanjaar se Dusi. 2 van hulle is dames. Ons wens hulle alles geluk.
Die groot vraag vir baie van die roeiers is oor die skoonheid van die water om die beroemde Dusi guts te vermy. Vanjaar sal die vlak van die water redelik hoog wees.
The dams are all 100% full and spilling.
What's the condition of the water like at the moment? Does it contain any harmful bacteria?
Condition of the water at the moment is good. We've had a number of high levels of water with flushes going through, so we're pretty satisfied that the conditions are good for the race.
The race, is it good for the Umgani water?
I think so. I think Umgani enjoys participating. There's a lot of us who are employed there, who have done the Dusi, and many of us are Dusi rats. So yes, we like getting involved in sport.
Wat van die vraag, is die Dusi taaier as die comrades?
I think it's definitely one of the toughest competitions around. You can't compare it to the comrades in the sense that the comrades, you've just got to be physically prepared. This race, so much can go wrong, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever. So there's just a lot more obstacles involved, and it's over 3 days, so you've got to really keep yourself composed for the full 3 days if you want to win.
Die 1997 Dusi Canoe Marathon beloof om een van die beste ooit te wees. En by ons in die atelier is 2 van die deelnemers. Baie welkom aan Mark Barrow en Wayne Pollek.
Hi, Nick.
Mark, you're a multiple Springbok. The only marathon, in fact, that you haven't won of the major marathons in the country is the singles Dusi, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Are you going to win it this year?
Yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm going to give it a full go and come down to a pretty hostile KwaZulu-Natal to try and take the trophy back to Gauteng.
Now, the person you have to beat is the defending champion, Kevin White.
Yeah.
How do you feel about him?
Kevin's going well. He's a tough competitor, and I think it's all going to come down to how both of us are feeling on the day. And there are a lot of other guys that can come through and surprise us. Wayne's going very well on the water at the moment, and John Edmonds has come through with a late charge.
Right. Wayne,
yes.
Tell us your claim to fame, please.
I've recently made a Springbok canoe polo team, which participated in Australia. I've come third in the South African K1 Championships, and I've won numerous races in Natal, except for the Dusi.
Are you going for the win on this one?
Yes, I've trained really hard this year. I've braked correctly. I haven't overtrained, I haven't over-raced. I've picked my races and concentrated on my weak point, which was my running. My running was always my weakest point in the Dusi, and hopefully I can pull through tomorrow.
Now, it's different this year. We see, for example, the 20,000 Rand prize money. Is it different in any other way?
No, I don't think so personally, because I think winning the Dusi is more than winning the money. What I mean by that is the actual achievement of winning the Dusi is, I think, one of the greatest things I could personally achieve in my life.
What comrades is to a runner.
Yes, I think coming in at the end with having 2,000 or 3,000 people on the bank and enjoying them with applause, it's good.
Safety measures. What steps are taken?
Yeah, hopefully, well, we're going to find out tomorrow. Hopefully they're not going to make us wear these. If they do, we're in for a lot of trouble. It stores the heat in your head, and you really battle. It is going to be exceptionally hot tomorrow. I think it's going to be in excess of 35 degrees. It's hard enough as it is, without any more extra clobber. They'll probably make us wear life jackets. I'm just hoping they don't force us to wear helmets.
But that certainly is a protection against stones as you turn,
yes,
as you
sure
turn your
it is.
canoe.
But I don't think the level is going to be at a particularly dangerous level. I think it will be fine to paddle without a helmet.
Right. Other safety measures, you mentioned possibly a life jacket.
Yeah, the life jackets are compulsory for day 2 and 3.
Right.
Again, we'll find out tomorrow morning whether we'll have to wear a life jacket on day 1. But the heat is going to play a very, very important role tomorrow. And the cooler you can stay throughout the race, the better.
Right. The winning formula, Mark? What would you say? What's the winning formula for the race?
Basically, the running is very important, especially on the first day. On the first day, you've probably got about 20 k's of running. The first portage is about half an hour of running. To have a break there and be ahead of your competitors, you obviously got an upper hand on them, and you probably put in about 5 minutes after. Well, you run for half an hour, sorry. And then you paddle for about 10 minutes and you run for another 20 minutes.
Right.
So the Dusi is basically won and lost virtually on the first day.
Okay. We've heard from you, it's like the comrades to a runner.
Yes.
What is so special about the Dusi?
The Dusi, there's just so many different aspects to it. It's not like any other canoe race in the country. There's just so many different options, and the options change with the various different levels. So not only do you have to be supremely fit, you have to know exactly where you're going. And tactics and strategy play an important part in the race. And we're going to see it tomorrow. We're going to see where Kevin tries to make his break, where John starts to surge. It's going to be very interesting. I'd expect Wayne to be right up at the front in the first 40 minutes, and then we'll see Kevin and John starting to move through the field.
So, Mark, KwaZulu-Natal has it. We have the comrades, we have the Dusi. Is that why you call it a hostile province?
Yeah, no, I'm actually very well received down here, but there is a lot of support for the local guys down here.
Right.
There's not too many of us Valis that are capable of coming down to take the race back up to Gauteng, but I'm going to give it a full go tomorrow, and hopefully, after tomorrow we'll know more or less the way the race is going to go. Day 1 is critical to the outcome of the Dusi.
Well, all the best to both of you and all the paddlers out there. We wish you all the best for the Dusi. Dit is altyd verfrissend om bietjie berge toe te vlug om 'n blaaskansie te neem. Maar moet net nie vergeet om jou vis te op.
He covered the 41 kilometers from Camps Drift in Pietermaritzburg to Dusi Bridge in 3 hours and 16 seconds. Second was Mark Perro of Gauteng, 3 hours, 1 minute and 1 second. Later, followed by Anthony Revan of KwaZulu-Natal in third place. Defending champion Kevin White was 10th. And now a recap of tonight.
Large bends in the river, and the canoeists prefer to take a shortcut over the hills if this saves them time.
What's up?
How was it?
And power.
It's okay. The climb up the hill, not too bad.
Yes, I'm still feeling healthy and strong. Yeah.
It's been the policy of the Natal Canoeing Union to ensure that the inhabitants of the Umgeni Valley also benefit from the canoe races. Chief Mklaba presented the winner of the first day, John Edmonds, with a shield as a token of appreciation.
This annual event has
has become an important thing for our people down here at the valley. They regard it as one of the sources of their development here. It has enlightened them as because they now want to join and they regard it as one of theirs. Actually, I wanted to thank the Dusi committee for the help they have rendered to our communities here, especially in education. They have given us, this is the second time now. Yesterday they contributed 10,000 towards building of schools, of classrooms for the children here. And the last year also they did the same. So that is why I wanted to come and thank the Dusi Marathon for what they have done for the community here.
The development of all forms of sport is important, and the canoeing fraternity can hold their heads high in this regard.
Stage of the Panasonic Dusi Canoe Marathon. He finished the 39 kilometers from Dusi Bridge to Inanda Dam in 3 hours, 1 minute and 50 seconds. Second was the overnight leader, John Edmonds, more than 7 minutes behind.
Pero, who started the day 45 seconds behind overnight leader John Edmonds, finally showed he has the ability to win the demanding 3-day event. The former doubles champion relished the fuller river and powered away from his opposition. His overall time of 6 hours, 2 minutes and 51 seconds gives him a lead of 6 minutes and 24 seconds over Edmonds, with newcomer Antrowan in third place. Pero, who never looked in any trouble, is set to become the first non-Italian winner in the 45-year history of the race.
And
these levels of water.
Or everything in the hole, you know, there's plenty of water to get down the river. There's going to be a lot of broken boats today.
But looking forward to this race. When we came down here, it was the same stretch we were on before the road go was. We were here last Saturday. The river was probably 9 foot, and it looks like it's about 3 foot today. So it's dropped a lot. It means it's going to be a lot more challenging. Some of the rapids will be a lot harder to get through, some will be easier. At this level, you've got to keep your nose up. If there are a lot of rocks just below the surface, you hit one of those rocks, your nose comes off, and that's the end of the race.
But 400 paddlers in 250 canoes still willing to challenge the river despite the dangers, with the Hella Hella Bridge acting as the start point for 35 kilometers of racing white water. John Edmonds and Anthony Rowan reaching the white water in second place, although having to swerve to avoid a rock, and that allowing Robbie Herefeld and Graham Monteith through. Graham Bird and Alan van Coller into number 1, taking things very carefully through this one, followed by Herefeld and Monteith, who hung back to wait for a clear passage. They make it through safely, but problems for Mark Pero and Gary Clark, as Gavin Tarr and Ken Lee Murray try to go through at the same time, bringing some harsh words from Pero. Pero half a length ahead, but 2 into 1 just won't go in these conditions, and he and Clark go for an early swim. Although that was nothing unusual at number 1 on this day. A traffic jam building up as canoes wait to tackle the rapid, with swimmers and broken sections of boats creating a log jam. Herefeld and Monteith clear of the main traffic now as the field spreads out. Pero and Clark trying to make up lost time in the middle of the pack. While behind them, the carnage continued, with swimmers trying to get their boats back to shore and patch them up again for the rest of the race. Edmonds and Rowan still going well to stay with the leaders. Rob Oliaro and Roy Pepper in canoe 2690, breathing down their necks and going well through the rocks. And that the end of the challenge for Edmonds and Rowan after crashing out. It seemed that the hot, humid conditions have made everything very fragile, from helicopter tools to canoes.
Every time you go through a rapid, it goes up like this. And that's it.
Alan van Coller and Graham Bird out of the race, and two of the pre-race favourites now having succumbed. This one another statistic after getting high and dry on a rock and breaking its back. Oliara and Pepper now leading after Herefeld and Monteith had to make running repairs after rapid number 4, which dropped them back to 6th place for a while. Clark and Longley up into second until they found a hole which turned them over, losing valuable minutes before they could get going again and eventually finishing 6th overall on day 1. That in turn passed second place over to Kevin White and Ken Holden, with Colin Simpkins and Richard van Mansberg just behind, having to avoid Clark's overturned canoe. And this is how the water sees Simpkins and van Mansberg as they battle through yet another white water section. Campbell and Shattock making it through safely, while Hereford and Monteith take up the lead once again. After some hard paddling, good fortune and expert navigation through the tougher rapids brought them back up from 6th place. Further down the field and moving up as well, Mark Perro uses all his experience to get them through, talking to Gary Clark all the time to help him make the right decisions.
Nice, Gary, nice. Keep it going, right. That's it.